Okay, so here's a quick video on how to play the game osihtātān, itwēwina, which is let's make words. A couple things to note on the box. On the side of the box we have what's called the setup formula, and that will come into play in just a few seconds here once I explain something else. Actually, we'll just explain it now. So, in this game, the cards that we play with have different colored borders, and the color of the border of the card tells us where we play them. So, if we look at the side of the box, this is the order that they're played. And this card here in the middle, without a color, is our verb. So just step back from that for a second. In English, if I say sit or stay to a dog, it's like a command. Now, any of these verb cards can be said that way. They're a command in their command form if you're speaking to one person. So in this case, michso would mean eat as a command. Now, the point of the game is we play cards on either side of the verb card, and we change the way the verb works. So, for instance, we would play these two cards, michson, and we would get I eat. Now, so what we have here is we can see what's blocked off. These are telling who is doing the action. Now, within these cards, again, they're played in the order that's shown here. So the pink is to the farthest to the left, the verb card's in the middle, and the green is to the right. If we look closer to these cards, up in the top corners, they actually tell what cards they can be played with. So the ni card, since it has a circle on it, it must be played with another card that has a circle on it, and that card must be green. So we come over to the green card, and the green card actually back references that and says it has to be played with a card that has a circle on it, or in this case a circle or a square, but for now we'll just focus on the circle, and that card that has a circle on it must be pink. So these cards actually tell you that they must be played together. So fast forwarding a little bit here. Now, I'm just explaining the general game to play here. So again, we have quite a few more cards here, but we have different cards. So when we're playing, we'll play cards over top. So now we could play the ki over the ne, and we get kimichsun. Again, this changes the verb now. Instead of I eat, it's you eat, right? So we've changed the person who's doing the action. Now, within the set formula, there's different colors of cards, and so we don't usually think of this as speakers, but tense is how we change when the action occurred. So the light blue card changes the tense of what we're doing. So before it was kimichson, you eat, and we add in ki, which is a past tense marker. This works sort of like I did do something, but it doesn't translate that way, but that's how it's modifying words. So here we have kiki michsun. You ate, basically. You in the past eat. And again, we keep adding cards to this word to get different meanings. So we can change that tense card, for instance, to we, kiwi michsun, and that's the future tense. So you are going to eat. Now we have what's here. We notice there's a red card. The red card is called a preverb card in certain circles, and it modifies the way in which the verb is working in the sentence. So in this case, for instance, we'll take the tense out. So we're back to kimichsun, that's you eat. And if we play a red card, kinote michsun, that's you want to eat, or you're wanting to eat. So in say kakwe, that means to try. So kikkakwe michsun, you try to eat. Now if we move that tense card back in there, notice we're still staying to the pattern on the side of the box. This pattern is also in the instruction manual. Now we've got the past tense marker. So kikki kakwe michsun. You in the past tried to eat. And if we look up in the top corners of these cards of ki, we'll notice that there's no restrictions on when it can be played. Whereas there are certain other tense cards that will have restrictions on when they can be played with what cards. So in this case, this one can't be played with a pink card with any of these shapes. So that's the basic gameplay. Now if we change just a few more things, if we wanted to change the verb, there are certain verbs that need certain modifications. So in this case we're good. And so we could play nipa on top. Now we've got kiki kakwe nipan. That's you in the past tried to sleep. And we could play kiki kakwe apin. You in the past tried to sit. But in certain cases, when we have a verb card And I'm just going to clear a few of these out of here so it's a little bit clearer. If we just had ape, so we have you, sit, we don't ever have two vowels beside each other in this orthography. So we need to add in a card to break that up. And also this is done in speech, obviously, because the orthography reflects the speech. So in this case, we would play a T card. Now the T card is a special rule. Whenever you have a verb card that starts with an A, and you don't have either a blue card or a red card, you must play a T card. So now you've got kitapin. You are sitting, you sit. And this T card can be played in two different slots, that's why it's got two different borders. It's the only card like that, it's kind of a special case. So we call that the T connector rule. Sorry, the T connector rule. Again, but if we had a tense card in here, see how we have a hyphen? We no longer need that T card. So kikiapin, that's good, because we have the hyphen, but kiapin, that doesn't work, so we add the T card in there and we get kitapin. So we have that kind of verb that starts, again, if we had agayasimo, it would be the same thing, kitagayasimon. And so that's called the T connector rule. Now if we change to one other thing, we've got a type of verb, I'll use this one here, pimote. That means to walk, but notice that the E is highlighted. Now in this type of verb, it's to get very technical on you, it's called an animate intransitive verb, but it's the type of verb that this game focuses on. When it ends in an E, and we're dealing with either a pink card that starts with a circle or a square, we need to change this E to an A whenever we're playing either a knit card or a kick card. So we can do that by having this dark blue card here that changes the E to an A. And if we look here on the side of the box, this card points out that it must be played with a pink card that has either a circle or a square. So this card tells you which cards it can be played with, and we just have to remember to play this card, and that's kind of highlighted to us by the fact that the E is in blue. So that's the E to A change, and that's the dark blue card here. So just to recap, we have the person indicator card, so kick, that's you. We play our tense card because it's the second card, that's past tense, that's ki. We could play, if we wanted to, we could play a preverb card, which is red, note, that means to want. And then since this is a special verb and it ends in an E, we play an E to A card to change that E to an A, and we get N. Now this is probably the most involved conjugation we have in the whole game because it has one of every card. Of course, we don't need these cards in there, and this card only comes into play when this has an E, so sometimes they'll be a lot shorter. But the game is to show how the words can be changed, so we can see how it all works together, and again, we can always reference what needs to play together based on what requirements are in the top. There are a few verbs that start with the A and end with an E, so just to clear this out of the way, in that case we have to remember the two rules. So we've got ki, and we've got an I and an A, and there's no hyphen, so we know we need that special T connector case there. And again, this one ends in the E, and since we have a ni or a ki at the front, we need to change that E to an A. So those are those two special rules played in the same course there, and you've got kitatoskan. And a few other things to note here. We have another type of conjugation here, which starts with an E. So if we wanted to say, I work, again, this is the command, work, and we wanted to say it in the conjunct form, we add an E in the pink, and we had a yan in the green, so etoskean. In this case, we don't do the change, because this card is only ever played with one with a circle or square, and this is a triangle. So that's your basic gameplay. A few other cards to note. If we're playing along and we want to change a card, there is a wild card. This can play in any spot, any colored spot, and you can either use it to block it out or you can use it to change it. So in this case, I could, if I had ekiatoskean, I was working, I could use this to block it out and change it to etoskean, I am working, or I could play it here and tell whoever I'm playing with it what it means. Let's say I make it a T, in that case, ekieto skate, he worked in the past, or she worked in the past. So, and the one other card here, this is a change verb card, and in certain games we use this, it's kind of like a joker card. It's not used in every type of game, depending on what we're playing, but we can play it, and whatever verb we're making will change everything, and we'll start over again by playing a new verb card by itself, and we'll add to that. So that's what the change verb card does. Now anyone who opens up this deck will notice there's a few other cards that might be worth taking note. There's a quick card here, pretty self-explanatory. For the verbs, it has a quick definition, not of course exact translation, but it's a general quick idea of what the verbs mean. And we turn it over, and the pre-verb cards are also, I've tried to make a quick one-word definition so that people can see what they mean to rely on. Again, I tried to keep English out of the game because it's a Cree game. These are the reference paradigms in case we ever get stuck and try and remember when we need the E to A card or when we need the T card. And so we have one here that shows when we need the T card added for all the different conjugations, and how we don't need it in any of the conjugations that start with an E. Because the E has a hyphen after it, we don't need the T. And then we have one with the normal paradigm, and we have one with the E to A, so the change card, which again, you don't need the E to A when it starts with an E card, but when we start with a card like with a circle or a square, we're going to need it in certain conjugations. And if you're using this game to learn Cree, we can use these cards to figure out what the endings mean, as in when I make nimich son, to figure out what the ne, who's doing the action, we can reference them by looking on these cards. So that's the general gameplay here, and we'll make another quick video of a few different games we can play with these cards.